CDK Global. And for people who don't know who CDK is, they offer pretty much all the back end stuff that the dealerships do. And let's share this real quick. So select dealerships seeing dealer management systems restored. Let me go to this. So yeah, this was published on the 28th of June. So that's 2 days ago. More than a week after CDK Global shutdown, upend operations for thousands of car dealerships, the software provider said it is in process of restoring various applications. Last week against the company, CyberTech last week against the company prompted CDK to shut down most of its systems, leaving some car dealerships to resort to handwritten forms to continue operations. This reminds me of, what's that when we talked about Ascension, Destini?
Yep. The healthcare.
Yeah. Remind me of Ascension.
Yep.
Remember they had the ransomware where they had the cyber attack and they couldn't use the EHR stuff, so they had to write it by hand to service patients. So this definitely reminds me of that. The company's cloud-based software helps more than 15,000 auto dealerships across North America manage vehicle acquisition, sales, finance, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. CDK is continuing a phased approach to restoring customer software. According to a company statement, it has so far brought 2 small groups of dealers and 1 large publicly traded dealer group live on dealer management system. I'm trying to go through this without trying to bore everybody. Let's go to the details of the attack. Multiple outlets recorded future ransomware analysis. Alan Liska identified Black Suit as the hacking group behind the cyber attack on CDK. Recorded Future did not immediately respond to a Friday request for a comment. Black Suit is a newer cyber criminal team that spun off an old Russia-linked hacking group. It's always Russia. According to everybody, it's always Russia. Security Forum Recorded Future says the group has breached at least 95 organizations across the globe. Cyber criminals are a growing threat to target car dealerships, with 17% of 175 surveyed dealers experiencing a cyber attack or incident within the past year, up from 15% the year prior. According to a 2023 CDK report, of those dealers, 46% said the cyber attack had a negative financial or operation impact. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Let me stop sharing. I'll just actually add some tidbits from what I did from the research. So I think when they first initially got attacked, they got attacked again while trying to restore systems, which put CDK, which put them back even more. And then that's those things who was like, there were a lot of experts saying, hey, I think they're trying to come back online too fast. They have not pretty much gauged the scope of the incident. And that's why in any interview, especially most of the time it's for more IR interviews, but you may be accessing a SOC interview, it's very important when you're answering your questions to tell them, hey, we need to scope out the incident, because if you don't, things like this happen. I don't think they scoped it out properly. I think they're probably losing so much money. They're just trying to get online as fast as possible. But if they're not making sure all the threat actors are out or know what threat actors hit them so they can prepare for them again, they'll probably find themselves in the same position. Because who was that kept getting hit over and over again? I know Okta was one. I think LastPass was a company who kept getting hit. By the way, I use Dashlane, so I'm going to send this part to Dashlane. Dashlane. I think I talked to one of the people that's like a CISO or something there. Let's go ahead and sponsor the show. But anyway, that's the thing is I would rather be coming back on at the perfect time than too fast. So it's kind of like one of those things I don't mind if you respond slow. Just make it be right. Because I'm dealing with trying to get some information out too fast and not, doing a trust but verify and sending the right stuff out.
And persistence is real. And that's the way of the game. That's how they continue to live off the land and live in your environment.
Look at you.
And also I want to know, what is their account compromise remediation plan and what procedures they have in place, because a lot of the time that stuff isn't documented. So they know what they should do, but it's not documented. So let's say you were supposed to do it, but you're out of office. So, can be able to do it if it's 3 a.m. without calling you, So right. A lot of this stuff isn't even included in the documentation. So I'm just interested to understand why they rushed to get back on, like you said, Like you said, it was probably because they were missing out on money, but now what's going to
Right.
happen?
And you gotta look at it like this. A lot of people didn't even know who before I know I didn't even know who they were. I think I had seen them on a couple of job like descriptions of job applications. But for the most part, I wasn't too familiar with CDK Global.
Mm,
So if I'm going to take that method of thought, I would want to believe that they probably said it'll never happen to us. Because I think a lot of companies feel
for
like, oh,
sure.
we'll never get breached until you get breached. And so I think that's probably why there's a little bit more lax. I think I saw an incident manager role, matter of fact, for them on LinkedIn. Maybe I can find it and share it here. So I think they're probably going to bring in I think they probably got an external team, but I think they're probably going to bring in some new people because one of the problems you'll see in most environments, and everybody probably can attest to this, if you got people that's been there a long time, they are with the status quo. They're not going to question anything. They're going to go with everything. They're just here to get their check. They probably older. They probably close to retiring. But so all the stuff that like could possibly happen to y'all that they're not caring about, like it's going to take new eyes and a new mind to come in and say, this isn't right. This isn't right. Hey, prime example, like I said, remediation plan is like, if it's 3 in the morning, my team needs to be able to disable AD accounts. I don't need to reach out to this other team who may or not be 24/7. And then it takes us 30 hour 30 2 hours to disable an account where the threat actor then ran rampant for about 2 hours, all because you didn't answer. Like
Did we
we need to
talk
be able to
about
do that
that?
instantly. Yeah, go ahead.
Did me and you talk about that? I talked about this to someone, can't remember who it was, but there was an incident in like a US company, but the US company was asleep. And so the company that was in India got alerted and they couldn't do anything because they didn't have the access. Like they knew what to do, but they didn't have the proper access to pick up in the 24-hour SOC environment. So it's a lot that goes into it that you really have to be intentional about, especially if you're in a environment like that where you
Right.
have the backup team not in the US. Because if something happens, like you just said, 2 hours is a long time. That's a
Hmm.
long time.
Yeah. And I can understand why some of them don't have the access. I do know it was a report a while back saying like when you're starting to offshore um labor and stuff like that, some of those people are like giving that information to their country. So like American stuff is like going over there to some of these other countries. So they're trying to figure out, I don't know, pretty much America really got to stop being cheap because a friend of mine was just informed that their whole team, like man, I think that whole IT department is being offshored to India. And mind you, this is a major security company
'Cause it's
that's
cheaper.
tasked with like alerting people. Yep. That's tasked with alerting people, like if somebody's going to break into your house, but you want to have these people over here do it who don't even have the experience. Like my friend told me, Shirley's like, these people don't know none of the stuff they're supposed to know right now.
And a
And
lot
these
of
the same,
companies they
no,
have,
go ahead.
some sort of team in India. A lot of major companies do. I think it's because it's cheaper, because they don't have to pay them as much as they pay US employees.
Right. But see, they wouldn't have to pay you
But
as
they're
employees.
smart though. They're smart.
Some of them are. If you've had your fair share of working with them, you had the elite ones are pretty good. And then it's the other ones where you have to tell them verbatim what to do every time to where it's just like, why do I have to tell you to do all this simple stuff? Like you will only do what I tell you. It's nothing outside the box. So that's a conversation for another day with people who work with people in India a lot. It's just probably like cultural differences too. Um, but it's funny though, because this same company, like right now, our episode is privated on my YouTube because they got mad that he was talking about how much he made, and that was only a couple of months ago. Just for now to say, "Oh, you guys are gonna be," I was like, "Bro, that made me mad for him." I was like, "That's why, like, I just always tell people to go with your move, man." Kenneth has been penny cried, man. What is something that you would add on to this, especially like if you were talking to your students?